Demonized by the crazed woke left, all over a song. So let me talk about small towns a little bit. I live in Pritis, Alberta. It's a little hamlet in the Rocky Mountain foothills, just west of the city of Calgary. I'm near Calgary, but I'm in the bush there. That's why I get those great pictures on my game camera. And it's a diverse community. We got people of all sorts of backgrounds and such, because a lot commute to the nearby city of Calgary. But the prime local industry is ranching. It's a small town. Now, with my house, it has a lot of history behind it. Back in 1920, there was actually a sizable tea house built on what's now my property. And when the owner of that tea house retired at the start of the 1960s, he sold the home to a couple who had 8 children. Yeah, they were big families back then. But that big old tea house was ideal for such a big family. Unfortunately, it was also a fire trap. And in 1962, the house burned to the ground, and a family of 10 people found itself homeless. So then what happened? Well, the community stepped up. The father and the older children were actually housed in a nearby community hall, and the mother and younger children were sent to Manitoba to live with extended family. Neighbors from our area pitched in, and they built a modest log home on what's now my property. The family's period of homelessness was terrible, but relatively short, and that was thanks to the effort of the community. I learned about that part of my home's history when some of those kids, now who are older than I am, came to visit Jane and I at our house, actually. It was a very emotional reunion for them, seeing the place where they grew up back then. Now, going further, I used to own the local pub in Pritis. I talk about that now and then. And if you really want to know everybody in your area, run the local pub. I tell you, everybody comes by it one way at a time or another. Now, in the last year before I sold that pub, we were robbed twice in a matter of weeks. The cost of the theft and the damages caused by them set us back dearly, and it was stressful. It was autumn. Our slow season was approaching. And I mean, the pub was profitable, but the profits were pretty modest, and we were in a tight spot. Now, within hours of the first robbery, a neighbor actually brought over a piece of plywood and cut it for us to secure the door where the glass had been smashed out. And the day after that, local children created a bunch of fantastic notes and pictures that they decorated the door with. Yeah, you see pictures and drawings thanking us for running the local business and everything. It really brightened my morning in a dark time when I was going to open my boarded up door in the pub for the day. The owner of another pub in a nearby town, a competitor, held a surprise fundraiser for us, and our community made a point of patronizing our place more than ever to help us get back on our feet again. It helped us financially and emotionally get through what was a tough winter. Now, we've come together in Pritis as a community for our neighbors when, well, they've lost children, lost homes, even when they've lost pets unexpectedly. And it's hard to find that kind of local support network in a city. But what does it all come down to? In small towns, we take care of our own. And that's the line, that's the main one that the woke are losing their minds over in Jason Aldean's hit song, Try That in a Small Town. Somebody dared to say we take care of our own. The insane left is claiming that line has hidden racist undertones. As not only is that a load of hogwash, it's insulting to cut down what's actually such a beautiful thing as the protective civic spirit of small towns. It has nothing to do with race. I don't doubt small communities and countries with people of all races are similar in that sense of community and protecting their neighbors. If anything, people in cities should be looking at ways to emulate the tight-knit communities of small towns. It feels good to know your neighbors, to be able to help your neighbors, and to be able to depend on your neighbors. And you don't need to be in a small town to try and develop those relationships. Aldean makes a valid point in his song. He mentions things such as people being sucker punched on sidewalks or old ladies being carjacked. These things don't happen often, if ever, in small towns, as the perpetrators don't tend to get away before locals can get their hands on them. In the city, people have been trained to look the other way rather than intervene for their neighbors, and it's a bad trend. Yeah, sure, crime happens. My bar was robbed in a small town. Should be noted, though, when the criminals were caught, it was found they came in actually from the city to rob us. I didn't need a bouncer when I had my pub. The local regulars took care of that in my bar, and woe betide, and it happened, to visiting folks who might think it's a good idea to start trouble in a small town bar. It's tiresome watching race baiters trying to find evidence of racism in everything. Why go ballistic over a song celebrating and pointing out one of the benefits of living in a small town? Why are some people so obsessed with division that they have to inject racism into a song where there was none? Look, they might not be for everybody, but small towns are great, folks. I'd recommend to anybody who can work remotely to get out of the city. Cities are crime-ridden, overgoverned, and running out of housing. They're crowded. Small town living is cost-effective, the air's fresher, it's safer, and most importantly, in small towns, we take care of our own, no matter what color. So I just wanted to get that out, guys. You know, I just had to counter that. I know people have been discussing that song and the pushback and those Harridans on the View talking about how evil and racist that song was. Again, no basis, no basis. We just have to inject that division, guys. I'm here to defend small towns. I love them, and they're good people. And it's just ridiculous to watch the woke come down on them.